So the question goes, after one has had the blessings of Prana Shakti unfolding, evolved to a certain level of consciousness, stabilized and integrated enough to resume or re-entered ordinary life, if it is ever ordinary, if one hears intuition whispering, there is further expansion, more potential waiting for actualization, for total cognition and absorption into self. Will Prana Shakti deliciously express again, fully, in the body-mind structure, with all the powerful surges? In repeated activation expression, essential for burning up or roasting leftover seeds, lesha vidya, to remove all obstacles from entering the state of completion. And there is an additional sentence beneath that question. I once heard Buddha reached such heights that his bones started to break, and Jesus actually sweated blood. We'll leave that for a moment and concentrate on the question itself. And this kind of central part of the question is that if one hears intuition or whispering, there is further expansion, more potential waiting for actualization, for total cognition and absorption into self. Well, certainly that means there is place to grow. And that's what has been addressed here at the main theme of the webinar. The distinction between self-realization, high states of consciousness, and total state of unity. All too often you hear those people who like, yes, I'm roasted, I'm done, cooked. You know, I'm a cooked pie. Why? Because certain things clicked here, I got it, you know, some experiences backed it up, this is it. No, the sincere seeker knows when the seeker dies fully and there is no longer seeker left, when there is no longer any subject left. With regard to the Prana Shakti, activation expression or reactivation expression, the reason why awakened Kundalini is experienced and associated with fire, with burning flame, right, is because there is something to burn. There is a raw matter that needs to be burned, you know, rarefied, purified. Once that has been roasted, what is there to burn? Can you make fire with the, you know, burnt wood from yesterday? No, you cannot. It's not going to burn. It may smoke a little, but there will be no fire, no flame. So a full activity of Kundalini as Prana Shakti, once it did a job, even if there are some grounds left on, you know, to cover, some integration, you know, some fine attunement, it doesn't mean there is necessity for Prana Shakti to reignite and, you know, with the powerful surges that, you know, basically in our memory as whatever that experience was at a given time. Because what is there to burn? As I said, there's nothing to burn. Once the seed have been roasted, you know, once they've been roasted, there's no food. In order for the fire to appear, there has to be something. There has to be a matter to burn. The one who has been burned by Kundalini, there's nothing to burn anymore. This is why the full impact of Kundalini usually is experienced only at a given moment in time as one-off experience. I'm not saying one-off like, you know, for a couple of hours. You know, it could take years, but usually as a one-off experience. When the finer tuning comes in, you know, it's done in a very different way. The psychic centers, you know, and when I said raw matter, I should have corrected myself that it's not the raw matter itself. It's actually the subtle matter. It's the subtle body that is on fire. The subtle body where the repository of all the impressions. This is what is being on fire. This is where the seeds are. This is what needed the roasting. But once that is roasted, once the psychic wheels are opened up, and completely functioning on its own, that Kundalini can go up and down, The pranic healers use that whole instrumentality of this physiology to rotate prana within, to prepare for the healing session, to then throw that prana or direct that prana towards the place where they direct the healing, whether that individual or situation, world conflict or what have you. So it's a subject on its own right, but in response to your question, is that leftover seeds, by the way, they are not lesha vidya. Lesha vidya are no longer seeds. They're just remnants. It's just that in order for the embodiment to carry on this, in order for the consciousness to carry on its functions within this body, it has to have something that will fit this body in the context of its functioning. You cannot just take that body out of the context completely, otherwise you'll be perceived like extraterrestrial. When Slesha Vidya has its purpose, you are still who you were. So when you arrive to your village, let's say, enlightened, people will still recognize you. They will still relate to you as Catherine, as Igor, as Bridget, as John, as whoever, And it's actually handy because that kind of, sometimes it's easier that way. Now, that last sentence, that the Buddha and the Jesus, if that needs a comment, yes, that intensity of the process differs from body to body. And not every one of us will experience the same intensity because it may not need it. The question may be raised, well, how come, that great avatar, that great being has experienced that? Isn't Buddha or Christ was already, exceptionally pure being? This perhaps a subject in its own right in terms of what role avatars came to play here. It's perhaps sweating of the blood is not to purify latent conditions of Jesus, that on individual level. Perhaps it's taking the karma of entire community, of entire, tribe, or maybe even a race. And the same with Buddha. Some intense cases of Kundalini are known as experiencing a melting of bone marrow in the bone structure, and I have experienced that. And the only place I found that talks about it was actually in this poetic masterpiece, poetic rendering of the Bhagavad Gita by the 12th century saint Jnaneshwar Maharaj. In his famous Jnaneshwari, the poetic rendering of the Bhagavad Gita, where he gave his beautiful commentaries in verse, he talked about this process of Kundalini in just 1 or 2 chapters. And at some point, he talked about the experience when the bones themselves are melting. That this is, as far as my own experience are concerned, there is something which could be to the intensity of that degree. How to put it in the context of your question? Well, that happened only once. Only once. Once we've been cooked, the one who cooks knows perfectly when we are done. There's no need to add more heat.